Time, it's a flat circle. Out on the edge of Long Island, where land meets the Atlantic, that circle turned dark. It began with a missing woman, Shannon Gilbert. One thread pulled, and the whole tapestry started to unravel. Ocean Parkway, a lonely road, secrets buried beneath the sand, a place where civilization holds its breath. In May 2010, Shannon vanished after a frantic 911 call from Oak Beach. She ran into the marsh and disappeared. Her family refused to let her become another forgotten name. They pushed for answers, kept the pressure on. In December, Officer John Malia and his dog Blue, during a training exercise, stumbled on a piece of burlap in the brush. Beneath it, skeletal remains, a human body discarded like trash. That cold discovery was just the beginning. The police had stepped into a killer's private dumping ground. They'd peeled back a corner of a map drawn by a monster. Cruelty and death along the windswept coast. The salt air, the reeds, the endless gray sky, they'd all been silent witnesses for years. The darkness had a name. They just hadn't found it yet. Standing on the edge of a chasm, the investigators looked in, and the darkness looked back. The world kept spinning, but for Long Island, everything had changed. The search for one missing woman had exposed a nightmare. The circle was open, and no one knew where it would end. The story of the Long Island serial killer had begun. The discovery of that first body, Melissa Barthelemy, was a spark in a powder keg. Within days, 3 more bodies surfaced, all women, all wrapped in burlap, all within a quarter mile. The Gilgo 4, a pattern, a ritual, the work of one hand. The Suffolk County Police swarmed Ocean Parkway, combing through the brush for more secrets. The killer had been careful, methodical, and invisible for years. The timeline stretched back. Melissa, gone since July 2009. Megan Waterman, June 2010. Amber Lynn Costello, September 2010. Maureen Brainerd Barnes, missing since 2007. 4 women, all in their 20s, all working as online escorts, living on the fringes, counted on their invisibility. The killer exploited that, using the internet to lure them, the desolation of Gilgo Beach to hide them. The investigation was a crawl through hell. Bodies reduced to skeletons, evidence ravaged by time and weather. The killer had chosen his spot well, a place designed to erase things, to swallow them whole. For investigators, it was like reading a story with most of the pages missing. They had the ending, the brutal, final chapter for these women. But the beginning and the man who wrote it remained a phantom. The world watched as the case grew darker, the puzzle more twisted. The search for Shannon Gilbert had uncovered a serial killer's graveyard. The question was, how many more secrets did the sand hold? The Gilgo 4 were just the start. The nightmare was only beginning. The police were hunting a ghost, and the ghost was still out there. The salt-stained shore had become a cemetery, and the killer's story was far from over. Maureen, Melissa, Megan, Amber, the Gilgo 4, not just bodies, but daughters, sisters, mothers. Maureen Brainerd Barnes, 25, vanished in 2007, never making it home for her daughter's birthday. Melissa Barthelemy, 24, disappeared from the Bronx in 2009. Her sister received chilling, taunting calls from Melissa's phone. Megan Waterman, 22, a mother from Maine, last seen leaving a hotel in 2010. The trail went cold. Amber Lynn Costello, 27, from Long Island, lured from her neighborhood in September 2010. She never returned. Each woman was targeted, exploited, and erased by a predator who moved with chilling efficiency. The killer didn't just murder. He tormented the families, confident he'd never be caught. The Gilgo 4 became a mantra of tragedy, their names echoing through Long Island. Their stories were a warning. The monster wasn't a distant phantom, he was close, and he was still out there, and he was still. As spring 2011 thawed the ground, the search expanded and the horror deepened. More remains surfaced, dismembered bodies, a young Asian male, a toddler, a woman's skull linked to a torso found years earlier. The timeline stretched back to 1996. The neat pattern dissolved into chaos. Was it one killer or several? The Manorville connection dismembered remains found miles apart hinted at a predator with deep roots in Long Island. The investigation sprawled across decades and counties connecting cold cases and new horrors. The toddler was the child of another unidentified victim, Peaches, a family tree of death. The threads were there, but the narrative was tangled the darkness deeper than anyone imagined. The coastline was a graveyard, and the killer's shadow stretched further than anyone feared. The killer used the digital age as his mask. Burner phones, online ads, disposable connections. Every call was a dead end, every trace erased. He taunted Melissa's family from crowded city streets, hiding in plain sight among millions of signals. The police were searching for a ghost in a blizzard of data. Technology, meant to connect us, became the killer's hunting ground. The victims' digital lives were locked behind walls of anonymity. For over a decade, the killer was a phantom. His fortress, the machine itself. For years, the killer was just a shadow, no face, only theories. Suspects emerged: a local doctor, a disgraced police chief. Each was scrutinized, but the evidence never fit. The real killer remained invisible, hidden by infighting, politics, and a lack of leads. He was a father, a neighbor, a man who blended in. The perfect predator, walking among them. The community could only guess at the face behind the mask. The shadow persisted, and the fear grew. The years dragged on. The case grew cold, but never forgotten. For families, it was a decade of suspended grief, time frozen on the day their loved one vanished. Technology evolved, DNA analysis and genetic genealogy offered new hope. In 2022, a new task force formed, bringing fresh eyes and new tools. Old evidence was re-examined, burner phones and cell data now potential goldmines. The silence was about to break. The digital echo of a ghost was growing louder. Justice was stirring on the salt-stained shore. The break came from the ghosts in the machine. Investigators traced burner phone pings to Massapequa Park and to Rex Heuermann, an architect living in plain sight. Surveillance revealed disturbing online searches and an obsession with the case. The final clue, a discarded pizza crust. DNA matched a hair found on a victim. The ghost now had a name. In July 2023, Heuermann was arrested in Manhattan, charged with the murders of Melissa, Megan, and Amber. The architect of death had been caught. His ordinary life was a mask for monstrous crimes. The silence was broken. The long, dark night was ending. The arrest of Rex Heuermann was not the end, just a new chapter. More charges followed, evidence mounting, cell data, DNA, a hair on Maureen's belt. Investigators are re-examining other victims, cold cases, and Heuermann's ties beyond Long Island. For families, there's relief, but not closure, only the promise of justice. The community watches, reminded that evil can wear any face. The story isn't over. The darkness has a name, but its depths remain. The truth, like a body in the sand, always finds its way to the surface. Follow for more.